And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. The Haisla Nation is made up of two historic bands, the Kitimat of the Upper Douglas Channel and the Devastation Channel, and the Kitlow of the Upper Princess Royal Channel and the Gardner Channel in British Columbia. We begin today's Open Connection by opening our archives to 1990 when Premier Van der Zalm met with the Haisla.
We, amongst other Native people, have been herded onto the smallest and perhaps the poorest pieces of land that could be found in our territory. And incidentally, these are not my word. They are taken from a description of our reserves made by a local Indian agent of the day. Laws were passed to keep us hemmed in here. Our attempts to break out were blocked legally and sometimes illegally. Secondly, we were blatantly lied to. Senior agents of the Crown made written promises about our lands and our rights, and they broke every one of them almost before the ink was dry. Thirdly, and perhaps more damaging, we were treated as if we were invisible. Development, settlement, resource extraction went on in our territory, as if we weren't even here.
Historical documents have been found showing their reserve land has always been considered worthless, but that Haisla right to hunt and fish as before was assured. The reserves were only meant as home sites according to the Band Council, and it also claims it has been systematically discriminated against by the province. Amos questioned the Premier on press reports BC is reconsidering its long-held position that Aboriginal title does not exist.
I'm not sure that I fully understand the whole issue of Aboriginal rights or land claims. And maybe this is because as we meet with different tribal councils, I get the impression that different tribal councils are coming at the issue differently, and that the meaning of what it is we talk about when we say Aboriginal rights or land claims varies perhaps a bit depending on where it is you are or who it is you meet with.
The minister responsible for Native Affairs says BC is just looking for a more effective way of dealing with the aspirations of its native people.
I don't believe that we ever referred to reconsidering our position on Aboriginal title, but quite clearly I believe we both stated in Kamloops, where the quotes I believe were generated, reconsidering our position on land claims and on the land question. And there's obviously a difference in those two statements. I do, however, agree with you that the use and occupancy criteria that the federal government has put forward is one that I believe is causing us as much problem or more problems than it's solving problems. It seems to me that the insistence by the federal government to prove consistent or ongoing use and occupancy in fact encourages bands to put up blockades, to perform illegal acts in order to convince the government that in fact this is traditional territory.
The minister also says it's been impossible to get details from Ottawa as to what the federal government expects BC to be responsible for, and can offer no explanation as to why that's so difficult.
I don't know. I really don't know. We're called on regularly by the federal government in public to involve ourselves in the process.
Is there no ongoing negotiation as to how BC should be involved or could be involved?
Well, there's been an ongoing sort of dialogue between provincial ministers and federal ministers, but it's always sounded very much the same. Tell us how big the land claim question will be. And tell us how you see us as a province being involved in the settlement of them, recognizing always that primary responsibility is the federal government's, but you as a federal government say you can't settle land claims without us. What is it specifically you need from us? What is it you want from us? That request has been in writing for several years now. Stephen Rogers first, to the best of my knowledge, first discussed it with McKnight when he was minister. I followed it up with Pictou and Kim Campbell. We're still waiting a reply, I suppose, now from Mr. Sidden.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. The Cedar LNG project will be the first Indigenous majority-owned liquefied natural gas export facility in Canada, which provides unprecedented opportunities for the Haisla Nation and for the region. Let us return to the archives when then Chief Councillor Gerald Amos shares his vision for the Haisla.
We're not looking at having the whole territory tied up so there can be no development. In fact, we've gone on record at times in supporting development that is going to be to the advantage of the area. Unfortunately, we feel under the current system, there are some times when we have to be opposed because of the threat to our resources, particularly Olycan, but there's other resources that we're concerned about as well.
They do know exactly what they want from a land claim settlement.
My children, kids going to school in the city there, are wondering why those immigrants, they've been here for 2 years, they can turn around and use their land as collateral to get into business. Young people from this village are asking each other, why are we so different that our fathers couldn't use their land as collateral to get into business? That is the bottom line, Mr. Pictou. That's the thing I want to leave with the council. When you ask, what do I expect from a settlement? Nothing less than being self-sufficient.
The Band Council is proposing interim measures to protect its interests until the slow-moving land claims process is concluded. It's fearful there will be nothing left to negotiate for, and it wants a mechanism for freezing critical lands to prevent resource extraction, development, and any activity that would permanently alter the land, as well as co-management of fisheries, wildlife, forestry, and environmental protection. The Haisla cite the destruction of the Olycan Run and the Kitimat River because of contamination from effluent from the Urakan pulp mill, despite promises the Department of Fisheries would never allow it. Concern over the band's reliance now on the Camano River Olycan Run is the main reason the Haisla are threatening to take legal action to stop Alcan's Camano completion project from going ahead. The Band Council says it doesn't want to go to court and is looking for a way out. Acceptance of the interim measures would satisfy the Haisla. Although the Premier seemed intrigued by the concept, he was very careful in his response.
It's somewhat difficult in the sense that we don't really, I suppose, fully understand what's meant by interim measures. If it means that there ought to be a greater involvement from the Native community in determining how things are done or what things are done, that's one thing, and I think it means that in part. If it also means, and I expect it might, that there's almost a moratorium over an area area, who knows what the size of it. And I heard mention of old growth forest. Now how old I'm not sure, but if it means no more logging or the likes, then the impact on the whole of the economy of whatever the size of the area could be enormous. So I guess interim measures are something that needs to be defined. I hadn't heard it before, but I know it's been there, but it's not come to this council as yet until today.
Mr. Van der Zam says he can understand the Haisla's concern, but he wants to know the effect of interim measures on Kitimat.
I also understand that the whole of Kitimat, and not only Kitimat, but surrounding communities, are dependent on the industrial activity, largely resource-oriented, that exists here. And the impact of suddenly bringing that to a halt would be one that's considerable, I'm sure, not only for the Native community, but for all of the people. So I think we need to find out more clearly just exactly what's meant, or to what degree perhaps it is we could accommodate such a request.
The Haisla stated several times that the clock is running and they won't hesitate to use court action if forced to. Alcan is presently reviewing the documentation the band has put together as the basis for an application for an injunction to block the giant Camano completion project. The band council wants an answer from the Premier soon.
How long are you going to give the province to respond to that, given that your injunction documents are presently being reviewed by Alcan's lawyers?
I'm going to be saying to them, and I am saying to them, that we want a response within 2 weeks on whether or not they're going to discuss interim measures with us. And after that, then we'll decide for sure what our time frame is going to be.
So you're really saying that no further alienation to third-party interests unless the Haisla are at the table with their input?
And unless we've discussed the interim measures and we have worked out a solution in part to the problems that are confronting us with respect to the environmental concerns that are cropping up, the logging interests, Camano completion itself. There are a number of areas that we're particularly concerned about. We have, within the municipal boundaries itself, we have logging roads being pushed toward an area that we'd like to see developed with our input.
Up till now, the Haisla have always been accommodating. Last year, they did protest peacefully in the Kitimat harbour and raise a special totem pole at the mouth of the Camano River. It remains to be seen what will happen if they receive no response to their attempt to get protection for the resources left in their traditional home.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. In Game 5 of the 1963 Stanley Cup Finals between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings, Eddie the Entertainer Shack scored the winning goal, famously claiming that he scored the goal off his backside and was only trying to get out of the way of the shot. Let us return to the archives as Eddie shares why he did not play in Kitimat.
Well, the last game we played there, I fell down and cracked a rib, and so was John Gee. He hurt himself too. He pulled a ligament, so sometimes we do get hurt in this game. I mean, we've only got a few guys, but everybody's going really strong.
And the old pros were going strong. Even after all these years, they still take the game pretty seriously.
Do you guys go out there to win the game, though, I mean?
Yes. Oh, for sure we'd like to win it.
Always want to win.
Right from the start of the game, it was clearly evident the emphasis on the team name Montreal Old Pros should be on pros and not old. The game had barely got underway when the ex-NHLers nailed their first goal. And they slowed the pace of the game to where they wanted it, with a combination of smart positional play, crisp passes, and excellent puck control. And when some of the old pros let go with a shot, there was a big head of steam behind it. Enough steam to rattle most minor league goalies. Most of the offense in the first period belonged to the Old Pros, but not all of it. Gary Smith had to make a few nice saves before Terrace notched its first marker of the night. That prompted the Old Pro team to honor the event with a photograph of the goal scorer and a sweet reward to remember the occasion. Terrace had other good opportunities to score in the first period, but Gary Smith came up big for the ex-pros. Down at the other end of the ice, the opposing goalie put up a good effort and got lucky on the odd occasion. But the period belonged all to the Montreal Old Pros, as they gave the Terrace team a lesson in how the game's played. By the time the buzzer went to end the first period and stop the slaughter, it was too late. 8-2 for the visitors.
Two coaches, look at the score.
Boy, those guys are good. They haven't forgotten many skills out there. There's a lot of them I think could step right back into the NHL right now. They're good.
They look smooth.
They are. They know where everybody is on the ice. They got their heads up. They have a sense of presence about them. Boy, they just put the puck wherever a guy is. Seems to be simple for them. We're just chasing them, chasing the puck.
Okay, but you're having fun.
Where you are.
So is there anything you can do against these guys?
I don't really think so. These guys are so smooth. They play the position so well. They know where one another is at all times. Their shots are so hard. I mean, our goalies can't even see where they're going in. Hey, these guys are just excellent. They're great.
Are the guys having fun, so?
Oh, hey, they're having a ball out there. They come in and they're being made more or less, as you could say, maybe look stupid, and they're coming back and laughing. And in a regular game, when we play other times against our own teams around our area, they'll come in and they'll be upset. This time they're happy, they're laughing. What can you say?
That's the whole idea.
That's right. That's the name of the game.
If you had a word of advice for the other team, what is it?
Tell them to eat lots of Weetabix. That'll get their energy up.
They're not playing. They don't look to be like that. You guys are kind of skating circles around them out there.
Yeah, well, with all the experience all the guys have had over the years, we can always outfox them. Some of the guys can skate pretty good, but they don't have the finesse and the finish that the years of experience have. And like they have some 3-on-1s, 4-on-1s, and the guy will shoot the puck from way over near the corner when he should be passing up to the guy in front.
Well, they're a good club, and if they're a good club, we have to get some goals up ahead because we've got some tricks we like to fool around a little bit. We like to be like the Flying Fathers and get the people and get the crowd really going, and that's what it's all about. That's what we travel right across Canada to entertain the people and have fun.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Known as the entertainer and the nose, Eddie Shack's NHL career spanned 3 decades. After retirement, Shack was a popular advertising spokesperson, most notably for the Pop Shop and Shack Razors. As we return to the archives in this final segment of Open Connection, we discover how Shack's nose resulted in a penalty shot.
And that's really the whole idea behind tonight's game. It's more important to have fun than it is to come out on top of the scoring. And with that in mind, the local squad started the second period with some extra help. Figuring they couldn't possibly be any worse, a ladies' hockey team took to the ice and promptly started to even out the goal scoring. And there was lots more shenanigans through the evening. After Jimmy Mann drew a penalty, coach Jean-Guy Talbot throws a stick from the bench and is promptly ejected from the game by referee Rocket Richard. Later, Talbot sneaks back to the bench, disguised in different clothes. And when the Rocket finds one of the Old Pros playing with an illegally curved stick, as measured against the nose of Eddie Shack, it results in a penalty shot, except the Terrace player has to use a very small stick. Goalie Gary Smith makes it a little easier by just lying across the goal mouth. But Smith still makes the save with his stick that he tucked away behind him. And then there was a small amount of attempted corruption that took place, as each team tried to curry favor with one of the refs through a $5 bill. When the local team gets a chance with a 2-on-1, Gary Peters breaks up the play by calling a timeout, on the pretense of having to tie up his skate. But the hijinks highlight of the night involved an injury to Gary Peters. A large bucket of water was brought out to help revive the fallen Peters, whose injury, of course, was not as serious as he made it out to be. And when Jimmy Mann gets into the act, the water starts to fly. First a little water, then a lot. The antics were fun, but it was the hockey the fans really came out to see. And most weren't disappointed, as the Montreal Old Pros put on an entertaining demonstration of hockey ability that may be getting a little old, but is not very rusty just yet.
Are you enjoying the game?
Oh, you betcha. Yeah, it's good to have some hockey back in town. It really is.
What about this Terrace team? They're kind of getting skated figure eights around them.
I think they're in awe of the good performance by the Montreal Old Pros. I mean, you have to be in awe. I mean, they're that good. So I think they got them spellbound.
So, surprise you the caliber of these guys?
Actually, yeah, I am kind of surprised that guys, older guys, they don't have to skate real hard when you know what you're doing. You just make the good, smart play and don't have to go around guys. You can pass right through them, so it's good.
More than 1,000 fans came out to the game. Of course, anytime there's that many people watching old-time NHLers, comparisons will be made between the caliber of the game now, when there are 21 teams in the league, to pre-expansion, when there were just 6 teams.
I think the intensity is coming back a bit, but when we had the 6 teams, I mean, you saw good hockey no matter who played, and if you go to some of the games now, it's I don't know, it's questionable, but there's still, I think, when you get to the Stanley Cup Finals and the semifinals, I think you're going to see some great hockey.
A looming left winger, Frank Mahovlich, spent 18 years in the NHL, playing for Toronto, Montreal, and Detroit. He gathered 533 goals, 570 assists, a point total that still puts him among the top 20 scorers in NHL history.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.